We have CPA Mullen saying, hi, everyone, ready to listen to the chairman. Okay, possible future chairman, but thank you, Mullen. I can see we have, who else? Somebody here is saying Karibu Sana. And on the Menti, I can see someone has just told us they're feeling great as they come in. Let's get a few more answers. So go over to menti.com. The URL is at the top of the screen, and you'll use the code 627. All right, your answers are coming in fast. Let me stop giving directions. You're very sharp guys, Sonajo Meshika Araka. All right, we have people who are awesome, others are great, excited, enthusiastic, expectant. To that audience member, what are you expecting? Are you expecting to learn more about Denish's vision and mission? Are you expecting answers to your questions? Let him know. I can see we even have our first question in the Q&A box. Thank you very much. Let's keep them coming so that Denish can plan enough time to address all of them, so we're all enlightened. All right. Thank you for those. Thank you very much for your... and here are your expectations. I can see someone is looking forward to Denish's manifesto being shared. Very good. I know he's reading your expectations very closely to ensure he tackles them through the session. Someone is eager to know more about Denish and what plans he has for ICPAK, especially to help young accountants. Good. I know in any industry, breaking in, especially for those fresh coming into the industry, is not the easiest thing. So let's hear what he has in line for support for some of our newbies. All right, how the accountancy profession can help our country. Yeah, there's definitely a direct link between the two. Let's see what he has planned. His plans for ICPAK, how to renew the trust in ICPAK, usual political speak. All right, someone wants something different. They don't just want to hear the usual political speak. They want something different and more realistic. Okay, very good. All right, I know he's going to keep listening and he'll be coming up with us answers. I'll give just a few more seconds. All right, good. But keep your answers coming. We're still going to curate them. They're still going to be accessible to Denish after this. And he can also make sure he answers them through any one of his many social media handles. So I hope you've also managed to follow him on those. He's very active on LinkedIn, Facebook. You can also get a chance to catch up with him there. All right, but now I've mentioned his name very many times, and probably a few of you might be new and might not know him, or others might need a quick refresher. I'm very happy to let you know who the man for the evening is. He's none other than CPA Denish Osodo. He's the immediate former national vice chairman of ICPAK, for those who've been with the organization for a while. And this is a role he actually held until 2019. And before that, he was an ICPAK council member between 2017 and 2018. So you do have someone who is well seasoned within the leadership of the organization. Now, CPA Denish himself has a very wide and deep experience within the accountancy field, spanning over 20 years. He started off all the way in PwC, rising in Safaricom, where he's currently the Director of Internal Audit, and he's also one of the board members of the Pediatric Research Consortium here in Kenya, where he holds the position of Treasurer. But I'll let him give us his own profile in his own words. So please join me in welcoming CPA Denish Osodo. Denish, karibu sana.
Thank you, Claude. My fellow accountants, good evening. My name is CPA Denish Osodo, and I thank you all for joining me this evening. I appreciate the time you've taken off your family and personal time to join me, to hear my thoughts, and as I listen to you, as we shape the future of our institute and profession together. My name is CPA Denish Osodo. I love accountancy. I am proud of all those who profess it. And I am so grateful for the sacrifice and service of all those gone before, past and present, who've made this profession the pride of many. I am a proud member of ICPAK, and I think you should be too. The largest professional body in this country, built over a 43-year period, setting up great successes, increasing in many numbers, providing the greatest number of business leaders in this country, more than any other profession has ever done. Coming up with a university that trains many accountants and many other professionals, and setting up our iconic headquarters on Thika Road. There are many reasons to take pride and be proud and to enjoy and to seize the moment and say, I am an accountant. Accountancy has been kind to me. I have had a good opportunity to it. And so to speak to you today about the profession I love in a country I also love is a privilege. Thank you for joining me. And because I am not sure what else you've been told about me, I thought I'd tell you briefly about myself in my own words, so that if you have any other version or any other password of me, you can then share and ask me, and we say, who is CPA Denish Osodo? I am an accountant by choice, choosing to be an accountant in my formative years in high school, because I believed then, as I believe even stronger today, that accountancy can solve social challenges. I have spent all my years since the upper years of high school studying or practicing accountancy without fail any single time. I have met many accountants making great progress. I have met many accountants doing great service to this country. And the more I've done this, the greater pride and the greater joy I've got in this profession that we all love. I have been molded in accounting practice. And therefore I come to this bit with disciplined belief in integrity, professionalism, credibility, and a firm belief that conflict of interest cannot be explained, can only be avoided. I also come to you with a lot of pride of the young people who want to study accountancy, who I speak to and meet in many fora, and who look up to the many accountants. And in their eyes and in their words, I see my own story. As a young accountant, looking up to many accomplished accountants then, and saying, I want to be like this one. When I thought of studying accountancy, CPA Arab Kirui served as the institute chairman. That was my first interaction with chairman, with ICPAK then. That's the first time I heard of ICPAK. And thereafter, FCPA Samuel Nyango took over the reign. By the time I'd gone to accounting college to study accountancy, the first accountants magazine I would see would have FCPA Nguru Washira on its cover, just then elected chairman of the institute. And through the years, I have celebrated the contribution of those who've gone before. I think they need to be extremely proud of the achievements they've brought, and all of us need to be extremely grateful of where they've brought us. 4 years ago, you and I embarked on a journey. I came before you to tell you not only my story, but also to ask you that it was time we raised the bar for our profession and our country. You accepted, and courtesy of your support, I joined the Council of the Institute. With the passion and zeal inculcated in me over the years, I began my service. That 1 year later, my council colleagues, based on experience within the council, not historical perception or anything else, humbly elected me to be the vice chairman. Immediately I got in the vice chairman's position, we had a first task of setting out the strategy of the Institute for 2019-2021. I am proud of the work we did together with my council colleagues to set out the Institute on a 4-pillar mission, on a 4-pillar strategy that has been the strategy that has run the Institute over this period, with of course the changes that the council did because of the pandemic disruptions. But that strategy that we did then reflected on the shocks of that period, reflected on the cases of the issues of our time in our society, in the accountancy profession, and then prioritized what we needed to do as an institute. We came up with 4 pillars, 18 strategic objectives, and 57 sub-strategic objectives to set out this institute forward. There's varied performance measures, there's varied success for various reasons on how far that has gone. Today, I come to share with you where I believe the Institute should go in the coming years. And more importantly, as a prospective chairman, to share with you the actual plans I believe we should put in place to start that journey. To reflect on that, it's important to reflect in the place we find ourselves in. We are a successful organization. We are a successful body, no doubt about that. Let no one tell you otherwise. We are a body that many others wish their bodies could be like ours. Let no one cheat you that ICPAK is a failure. The institute that you see, the profession that you see, is a result of sweats of many. Thank them when you meet them. On behalf of all of you, I thank all those whose services have brought us here. Today, my fellow accountants, despite the success, we also face great challenges. The unemployment among accountants has never been higher than it is today. The erosion of trust in our profession is so much that many and more are losing trust in the reports that we give. And we have such a wide membership that a common purpose is becoming difficult to pull together. Even worse, and a factor that we must consider as we get along, is that we are now the minority body. Despite being a monopoly body of accountants in this region, we have less members in ICPAK than those who qualify to join, but have opted or for various reasons cannot join and are therefore outside ICPAK. These are the challenges we must respond to as ICPAK to move forward and serve our country. I have listened to you over many years of practicing accountancy and of serving you. In this campaign, I began it the only way I know, by listening to what are your hopes and fears. What are your triumphs and trials? What are your setbacks and victories? What are your motivators and demotivators? What drives you and challenges you? I listened to you. I will continue to listen to you, not just in this campaign, but throughout my service as your chairman and for the rest of my life as an accountant, because I believe in listening, we learn. And in learning, we grow. And in growing, we move on together. I have heard the cries of young accountants looking for opportunities in this profession, of practitioners building their practices and looking for a support from their institute, of members in public sector seeking for their work to be recognized, their fair wages for the work they do and the service they offer to this country, of large practitioners seeking professionalism in our institute, and of small practitioners seeking handholding and support, of mentorship needs that are required. I've also heard of many private sector accountants who do not see the relevance of the institute and wonder for what reason should I join. I have also listened to many outside the institute who are looking for a case for them to join and who are not joining us for various reasons. I've listened to the hopes and aspirations of many young students in accounting colleges and high schools, hoping that this accountancy, this profession, is one they can come up to and build their career and get a fair reward and make their contribution to the country. I have listened to the joys and success of many who have served this profession for many years and are now retired and saying, how can I make my contribution and mentor the young people? I have seen those who wish that their values can be kept. I have seen those who wish that we can get back to the old values that kept up this profession as the beacon of hope for all those who sought a profession of service, who yearn for professionalism and who hoped for a profession of nobility. From all of you, I have learned. And from that learning, I want us to move ahead together. As I reflect on the state of the profession today, the journey that we've traveled over the years, I seek and say that now that we are at this stage, 40 years, the time that life begins, with the many members that we've got now, just under 30,000 members of our institute, with the spread of members from general management to business, to many in accountancy and very many sectors of it, at a time when accountancy is growing and the areas of practice in accountancy is growing significantly, new areas emerging and new opportunities coming up our way, at a time when many of the accountants in this country are seeking how to proceed, how else can they expand either their practices or their careers outside this country. At the time when geopolitics is meaning there's a reverse of globalization, and some of our members, some of our citizens who have stayed abroad for many years are seeking, can I get back to my country and get an opportunity to serve? How do we respond? These are the current shocks that we must respond to. But a plan for the future must also prepare for headwinds and tailwinds that will emerge as we think about the strategy of our institute for the years ahead. I want to set a vision for our institute of this decade that in the 2020s shall be the period of opportunities for accountants. Now that we've mobilized them and got many members over the last decade, now that we are so grateful for those who came before, who opened up opportunities for Kenyans, Africans, as they were called then, to get a space in this profession, expanded training opportunities, opened up colleges, both owned by the institute and allowed others to open, that many could learn this profession. Now that those who came before considered the financial independence of our institute and set up CPA Center, that we may not just rely on members' fees. And those who came before saw the need to make sure we get in as many members as we could. It's our time to take this profession forward. It's our time to prepare this profession for the next 43 years, now that it has been for 43 years. To do so, we'll do so in major and micro steps. We will set big targets and big dreams, but we'll also have clear, workable plans for 1 year, 2 years, and the actions we will do. Our progress has been inch by inch. We have covered big grounds by making sure we cover step by step. And that is the stage we are in. But my friends, this is not time for small ideas. This is the largest professional body in this country, and the citizens demand of it the largest contribution. This profession has the brightest minds of this country, and it must solve the most complex of this country's problems. This profession has the widest experience, lots of experience. A lot of our members are experienced. They must get a chance to use that in the service of the country we all love. So this is not time for small ideas. This is not time for small dreams. This is not time to think of the micro small steps. It's the time to set out clear, big goals and go after them with concrete small steps that make sure we achieve them. And that is what I lay before you tonight. So let me then spell out clearly what that end game is for me, and then come to the micro steps that would form the next phase of strategy. To reflect on that, pause for a minute and reflect with me on the 4 that we set 3 years ago when I was privileged to serve as the vice chairman and had lots of involvement in inputting, discussing, and ultimately then approving that strategy. Our vision is then, and I still believe should remain, a world-class professional accountancy institute. We did debate with a light touch when we set it out as council members whether the world-class means something, whether we want to set ourselves as the benchmark for the whole world. And we settled that a world-class professional accountancy institute would aspire and would capture all the hopes and dreams of all of us who profess accountancy and those who come after us. And our mission is and will remain to develop, promote, and regulate the accountancy profession to meet international standards and safeguard public interest. Safeguarding public interest in our mission is the call for which many of us became accountants, and we must always act in public interest. 3 years ago, we expanded our core values beyond the ones in our credo of credibility, professionalism, and accountability to also include inclusivity. Because we believe that in our profession and our institute, every member has a chance, whether they're young, whether they're, whatever their gender, whatever their age, whatever their experience, whatever part of this country they come from, they have a chance in this profession. And so we included within our core values inclusivity for the 3 that are well known that sum up CPA: credibility, professionalism, and accountability. And then we set out the 4 pillars, which were then broken down further into 18 strategic objectives and 57 strategic objectives. Accountancy development and regulation was pillar number 1, to grow this profession and to make sure that it's developed and there are competent professionals to serve this country and to regulate it. Positioning our institute for influence was pillar number 2. And dear members, we then went on and said institutional sustainability, how the institute can survive in the long term, was number 3, and enhanced customer experience was our final pillar. And below them, we then had the different KRAs that get measured. It was a relevant, it was a well thought out, it was a well-developed strategy. It has served us. The point to note, my friends, when you elected me into council in 2017, I asked you that I'll do 3 things. When we set up the strategy, all those 3 things are part of the strategic objectives that we set out. To defend the credibility of the CPA brand, to empower members of ICPAK, and to advocate financial accountability matters in our country are the 3 items on which I came before you to raise the bar for our professional country. and for which you kindly accepted. Each of them is a pillar of our strategy. Not just a show of how important they were to the profession, but also of the ability then to influence within many council members to ensure that that agenda is in the strategy. I know all of you who are members of the profession are keen on all the chairman contestants of the agenda, because by history, this becomes the profession's direction. I have been involved in considering the strategy of the Institute in a detailed manner. I have been involved in considering the history of this institute in a very strategic manner. All the day from the 1970s when the committee to set up and consider setting up the institute was formed, to that time in KICC when FCPA Stanley Bugwa took over as our first chair, all the way to now our 23rd chair. We have come a long way. We can be proud of that achievement. We take this profession to a time when it will be that center, that tower that everyone looks up to, that beacon of financial accountability that everyone in this country will look up to ICPAK and say, if there's a designation CPA, that person upholds public interest. That person is credible. That person can be trusted. We will rebuild the trust in this profession. The name CPA alone would mean trusted. The designation CPA alone would mean that is a professional, and they look up to us for all those who yearn for financial accountability, who seek freedom, who seek the freedom from corruption that has become a norm in this country, who are looking for a leader of that area and who want professionalism. We must look up to every young accountant, young upcoming student who desires to be an accountant, who wishes, what I need to become an accountant. And we must tell them that if you're passionate, if you're willing to work hard, if you're willing to learn new skills, then this profession must have a space for you to earn a living and make your contribution to society. That is the profession we must build, because we'll be expanding opportunities for them. We must build a profession that Wanjiku, Naliaka, Atieno, Hamisi can look up to and say, this, I know my money is safe in this country because they are sons and daughters of our motherland who profess accountancy. And I don't care, I don't understand in detail what the financial reports do, but because I know there's a body called ICPAK, if there's a problem, they will speak about it and they will follow it up. I also want to build a profession where the members are proud of their institute, where the institute is the cutting edge of new technology and new service, where it sets the standards of service for any membership institute, and where all that you seek, you can find it as institute. I want us to build an institute where members feel safe in their work and they feel protected by their institute because they know that they have a body behind them that can speak for them, matters that they cannot speak, that can negotiate for them, areas they cannot do for themselves, and that they can rely on to protect and defend their space. I want to build an institute that will make sure that accountancy work in this country is only done by qualified accountants, members of ICPAK. The pride that we've inherited from this institute will only grow it. We will hand over a better profession to those who come after. That is the contribution we intend to do. Let me now spell out exactly what that means when I am chairman. I have reflected on the accomplishment of the strategy that was set 3 years ago. From an outsider's perspective, having been inside. And here, I have the experience that probably I share with His Excellency Mwai Kibaki. Many of you remember, Mwai Kibaki had served this country for a long time, rising to vice president and a respected minister of finance for a long time. He then left government and stayed out for some time. And then he got back to government. And in my view, in Mwai Kibaki, Kenya got its best president yet. I am proud to share that experience with Mwai Kibaki. I have served you in council. I have been vice chairman. I have then stepped out, reflected on the gains and misses of our institute, and I am now ready to get back and get institute on the right course to claim its right place in our country. And I ask you for your support and your vote. I then set that agenda that we intend to pursue as opportunities for all accountants through service to the country. My friends, if there's anything we need to do at this time is to create opportunities for our members, whatever sphere they are, whatever age they are. Every time I've spoken to our members, the word opportunity has not missed. Our members are reasonable. They know that the institute cannot solve all their problems. They also know that all their problems cannot be solved in a day, in a term, or in a lifetime. But they want an institute that works for them, and that is what I will make ICPAK do. Opportunities for all accountants through service to the country is the focus and the direction I want to shape our institute over the next 2 years. I present to you this agenda with 4 pillars to consider and look at. With depth of knowledge of where we've come from, with deep reflection of the shocks and factors that affect our institute, and with the clarity of thought on which way we should go, with wide consultations of different stakeholders, those who've served in council before, those who work in the field of strategy, those who serve clients in very many fields, and those who work in public sector, private sector, academia, young and old, men and women, disabled and not disabled, every frame of member of ICPAK, those who come from branches and everywhere else. The message of accountants is the same. Just like the expectation of citizens of Kenya for us is the same. Whether they're in Marimanti, in Tharaka Nithi, in Ekotha, in Kitui, in Mololo, in Vihiga, or in Sololo, in Moyale, they are speaking the same language. And that's important. It means that our destinies, however singular our journeys are interlinked. And so, my fellow accountants, I present to you a plan to focus on creating opportunities for all accountants through service to the country. I say through service to the country because it is by serving our country that we earn respect of citizens and get a negotiating place, not just to negotiate for our accountants, but not just to make it easy for us to influence appointments of our members and passing of legislation, but to get a space that or the work that we do technically would be understood by the citizens for whom it is done. When we get out of ourselves and serve this country, when we meet this country at its points of need, we will get rewards on opportunities for our members. This country has many problems. And yes, all citizens, accountants and non-accountants are called upon to respond to them. What I want to offer you accountants for as your leader is that in leading the fight against theft, in leading the fight against corruption, in promoting financial accountability in this country, I want that space to be led by accountants of Kenya. And when I am your chairman, I will present you as the leaders of that space. And in doing so, create many opportunities for you in government and private sector as we, as citizens of this country, confront one of the biggest social misconstructs of our time. So I break this down into 4 pillars so that we reflect on how we'll then create opportunities. Our institute is in a unique position that I want us all to reflect. We are a regulator and we are a members association, members institute. Sometimes conflicting, sometimes supporting each other. We must regulate this profession. And if we regulate it progressively, we not only grow it, we create many opportunities. So progressive regulation of accountancy profession is the first pillar that we do, because citizens expect us to regulate this profession. We are now getting to the era of multiple licenses. That means many people will get into practice. That will come with new opportunities. That will also come with new challenges. Because as an issue of licenses, we must make sure that every license we issue is regulated. We must make sure that the work of licensed accountants is done only by licensed accountants. And more importantly, we must ensure that work is done to high standards with consideration to all ethical requirements of our profession. We must then build in our training programs that make it easy for members to move from one license category to another, to expand their knowledge and to be able to offer many offerings. And we must protect the trust. We must sanction those members who breach our rules. And we must make sure that the profession that you enter into is always be a profession of nobility and a profession of ethics and a profession of rules. So I see an ICPAK that has a clear regulatory side and a clear member side. If there's anything this pandemic has taught us, is that ICPAK as currently constituted is prone to the same shocks that its members are prone to, and that is dangerous. In the time when many of our member firms and many of our members in employment and business were struggling, they couldn't look up to the institute to support them because the institute was going through the same thing, because the institute has grown to become a business body more than a professional body, and therefore subject to the same shocks as our businesses. We must build it, we must make it resilient, we must make sure our institute grows more as a professional body and therefore more resilient to business shocks, so that when the institute is struggling, members can support it. When the members are struggling, the institute can support it. The citizens of Kenya, when they created the Accountants Act, when they enacted the Accountants Act through their parliament, set out a professional body, not a business body. Yes, ICPAK must be sustainable, but it must never count its success in how much money profit it has made. It should count how many people, how many members are practicing, how fast the practicing firms are growing, how safe its members are, how strong public interest is protected, and how Wanjiku shilling is accounted for. That is a bigger area of success, and how many areas, how many numbers of disciplinary cases we have to deal with, how many financial scandals we have, and how many we respond to. So progressive regulation of this profession is my #1 pillar. And we will make it right. We will get that right. We will have offer to citizens a regulated profession. Our disciplinary committee must work. We will respond to financial scandals as a regulator, but also as a member body. We will enhance every training requirement that is needed, and we'll also have a conversation among peers and friends as professionals. We owe this country a bit much more. I still believe the bar must be raised. This is a members body, and therefore providing member services comes as a second nature. And therefore my second pillar is revolutionize member services. When you join ICPAK, you join a members body. You are not a customer, you are a member. And that's different from when you're a customer. You drive the agenda of this institute, not just through elections as you're about to go through, and as I request you to vote me for your chairman, but more importantly, after the elections, as we continue listening and speaking to each other as we run this profession that is a members body. So in member services, I intend to introduce a member value management, similar to what many organizations call customer value management, that understands every member to their individual level. We call it in marketing, the segment of one. We are only 27,000 members. There's no reason why I should not know every member by their history, how long they've been, where they've worked, how often they've been compliant with our requirements, and whether they struggle or not to make payments, and therefore have a different program that supports every member at different stages. I'm a firm believer in social justice, and therefore I believe in equity, not equality. Everyone must have equal chances. That means not everyone then is equal, because we must have equal chances. I will not charge our services for a 20-year-old member who has worked all his life, as I have done, the same rate as I charge someone who is just 2 years old in the profession and is still struggling to find a stable employment as they hustle through their streets. We cannot offer training opportunities at the same cost to them. It is just unfair, it is just wrong. What I need is a system that tells me this one can afford this number, this one cannot afford this number. Having said that, the CPD cost events in our institute are unreasonably high. And when I am chairman, they will come down in my plan. And I have accounted for every shilling, because the strategy knows where the institute is, the obligations it has. We will bring them down, and not down marginally, down significantly. We are building a professional institute, not a commercial enterprise. There's a real danger in converting ICPAK to a commercial enterprise. We will have cabals, cartels that will come and take it over, and will lose its value to many of its members. It will become a business enterprise for a few. And that's why we believe in ICPAK. You serve your time, and then you move on, because ICPAK is a professional body that any of our members can serve in. We don't want a cabal holding onto it because of the business interest. Let's run it professionally. Member services also means strong inclusivity. If you are a young member, you will get a chance to serve in every organ of the institute, in every body that the institute appoints its members to. Your gender is relevant when you appoint, and we will do a check to make sure at the end of the period that the appointments that we've made are relevant and equal to the numbers that we have. That if we have 30% women in our body, then they cannot be less than 30% in that case. We will give special recognition to all members with disability and give them priority appointments if they qualify like everyone else. I intend to strengthen our branches because of the core work they do in spreading our brand across this country. And it's fairly simple. You will retain a percentage of the money you make from your courses, and you will use it as the local leaders wish. Branch leaders are elected by members, and they must therefore be exercise power on behalf of the members directly without some guidance from appointed people who are not elected. So we will retain for you your money that you will then use for programs that are used. This is important because our branches have different needs. So if Eastern Branch want to spend that money in social responsibility, that will be their call of their leaders. If Coast Branch, on the other hand, want to spend it, that money on mentorship of the young people, that would be their call. So they would then make their programs and run it that way. If you're a member in public sector, the needs that you want, the revolutionized services would take into account. Our public sector members work in very tough conditions and carry out extremely important role for the accountability agenda in this country. They need our support, and when I'm your chairman, you will have it 100%. I want to grow the practitioners in this country. The Institute is stronger when there are many more in practice. I want to set a clear target to grow on a like-for-like basis to double the number of practitioners in 2 years. And this is not because of multiple licenses. This is the practitioners who would have had the composite license. The space of accountancy growth in this country is significant. And what we need is an institute that has a program that develops, supports the growth, and works with the members as they grow. And to build relations with our neighboring countries. Because there are more Kenyans who are seeking to do business in Uganda and Tanzania than the reverse. There are more practitioners here wishing to set their offices in Uganda, Rwanda, Tanzania than the reverse. And I, as the institute, if I need to go down on my knees to make your case in Uganda and those other countries, I will for you, so that you have an easy way when you're setting up your offices there, when you're transferring and going to work there, how easy it is for you to get a practicing license to transfer your bid. I will not be at war, unnecessary war with those countries. I will know what is at stake for our members, and I will take care of that interest. To revolutionize member services, we are going to employ significant technologies. Our institute still lags significantly behind in this area. Many of you struggle to even get basic help when you call the institute. And we want that to be clear and to come home. Our members' welfare is an important bit. The benevolent fund must now get out of the institute and be run independently. And I want to make a commitment to all our members over 70 years old. You will have a free pass to every ICPAK event. You have served this profession for so long, it owes you everything it can give. I also want to change our honor system. We currently only honor you by commendation and then give the highest award, that is fellowship. This is narrow and therefore doesn't give us a lot of chance to honor many who serve this profession in various ways. I want to bring back the spirit of service to this profession. And therefore, if you take 10, 20 young accountants and train them, I want to be able to honor you. To reduce financial pressure in our institute, I want to be able to get experienced members to offer their services for free in the institute, because that is how our institute was built over the years. It was built by sacrifice of members, by servitude of members. It wasn't built by those coming to offer a training and seeking out a big check and negotiating how much more can I get. There are many members willing to serve our profession, and that service is a honor, and we must get them an expanded honor system that rewards all of them. I still insist the standards for our fellowship can only go up, because it's the highest award we can give, and it's the award we give after service. You get crowned after the struggle, not when you're still in the trenches. Every time you see a fellow, it should be that mark that this is an authority in this field. My friends, the third area is institutional resilience. Yes, ICPAK is not a business, but it must pay its expenses. It must run now and in the future. To do so, I will diversify the revenue streams of ICPAK. Our trainings attract many influential people in organizations, and there's no reason why it should not attract corresponding sponsorship. Many commercial businesses sponsor less high-profile events, and with proper marketing, we will get our events sponsored and reduce the strain on member fees. The work we do in advocacy and regulation has many development partners willing to sponsor, and this is the area we must move on to and get that sponsorship and remove the pressure on members and go into this area. I also want us to look at the governance structure of the institute, not just the governance costs. It is time to reflect, to again change how we get represented in council, to reflect our diverse membership, our branches, our different areas of expertise. Because our current system, theoretically, can end up with only one sector represented, or one group of people, or one gender, whatever it is, represented in council. We want a representative council, and I will lead the change to that bit. Our bylaws have not been changed since 2008. That means legally, they do not comply with the Constitution 2010 that we, the people of Kenya, adopted. In working, in strengthening the institute, I will make sure those bylaws are updated, not just to be in line with the Constitution, but to reflect the changes since then and the aspirations and ambitions that we have as an institute. We will then get them as regulations that will then be passed by Parliament that will be the body that represents you. I'll also re-engineer the process of the institute to make them efficient, to make them fair, and to make them more member services. The institute needs to serve members. It's a member institute. It must be designed to serve members. The member is at the center. It's a member-centric institute. And when you make a call at the institute, the first person who picks it should answer any query that you have. As they say, if your call can't be answered on the first pick, that's bureaucracy, and we won't have that. And my final pillar is the passion of my course of accountancy. We will be the accountability voice in this country. When I'm your chairman, there will be courage to speak on every matter. We will rise to the mountaintop and own the accountability space and make sure that our citizens are represented in that area. I passionately believe that owning this journey opens many doors of opportunities. It earns us respect. It creates a very many new ways of growth that we can get into. And so the state of the economy report that was approved 2 years ago would then come into play and would then have to deal with it, would then respond to it, would then have every year, we'll have a state of financial accountability report showing the wins, the losses, the gains, the losses, and we'll do that. We will be the ones who will run this country in terms of what the budget levels are, what the fair debt levels are. You will hear your institute own that space. To do all this, we will employ tactful diplomacy. What that means is, ICPAK represents members, but it's not a trade union. So we'll not be confrontational, but neither will we be beggars of this service. We know when to allow regulators or government to win some games. We know when to be firm. We know when to use the courts to defend the right of our members, and we know when to call our members to action if required. But you can be sure that when I am your chairman, we will represent you. We will lead the profession, and we will walk that path with integrity. We will walk that path with courage, and we will stick to the right side of ethics. My friends, this is my plan, and this is what I'll pursue. I get back to our credo, and this is important, because we must live that which we seek. And so credibility is something we must have in all our main operations, as an institute and as individual professionals. So I call you back to the spirit of service. I invite you again to the spirit of sacrifice that has brought this institute this far. Let's focus on building a professional institute. Let's follow credible systems, and credible systems are credible systems in every respect, including credible elections. We have committed to run these elections in a credible manner, and as a candidate, and as someone who served in council before, I am committed to make sure it's credible, and there's no other way it will be. If it is not credible, we would pause and say, let's make them credible. They must be fair, they must be seen to be fair. On that one, we will not rationalize, excuse, or explain. The elections must be fair. And any attempts to do anything to them will be met by the professionalism and integrity that this profession demands. So I ask all of you to commit again to the professionalism. I ask all of you to dedicate yourself to the call of our service. With gratitude to all those who've made contributions and continue to make contributions to make this profession the pride of many. With the hope of all those young ones willing to make a career in this profession, and with the energy of all those working day and night to advance this cause. For their sake and on their behalf, I come to you to ask for your vote and your support to be your next chairman. When I am a chairman, it's a service to you. It is all about you. When we got our constitution in 1963, we began with section 1 that read, Kenya is a sovereign state. After a long process that we went through and came to the point of changing our constitution, and we got the constitution in 2010, those words that begin our constitution changed significantly. And our preamble begins with 3 important words, we the people. Bringing that to the Institute, those 3 words are, we the member. My service for you over my term will always be for you, the member, because it is all about you. Thank you. God bless you and hear you every time you pray. And as always, pray with me that God bless the profession that we love and the country that we call home. I thank you.
Wow. Some very impassionate words from our CPA this evening. Ladies and gentlemen in our audience, I'm not sure about you, but I think you have heard someone speak from the heart. Thank you very much, CPA Denish. I can see our chat is reflecting my sentiments. We have FGC Kenya Strategy Consultants saying congratulations, you have a clear plan, and they're impressed by your grasp of challenges that both ICPAK and the ICPAK members are facing, and they feel your passion, so you have their support. To our other attendees, kindly use the Q&A box for your questions. I can see you're using the chat box for your questions. It's much easier if we can access them through the Q&A box. So please use that. Otherwise, CPA Mullen echoes as well, saying that was powerful. For me, I think the biggest takeaway was you want to make the term CPAK mean something again. I think that was the most powerful, as well as when you spoke about it not being a business, but being about the members. Very powerful stuff. Now, our audience this evening, we can see we're doing very badly on time, and we know it's been a long week, a long month for a lot of you. I want to imagine a good number of you are wrapping up end-year reporting or the usual end-month reports in your various places of work or consultancy. So I'm just going to put forward 2 questions to Denish with a promise that all questions given today will be addressed through his social media handles or in future engagements. So please do not be disappointed. Time is against us and we want to be fair to everyone and to ensure you're still having good work-life balance in this trying times. So I'll try and keep it to 2 questions with the rest being answered by Denish through his various platforms or a different session in the future. Okay, and for this, I think I'm going to go to, wow, quite a lot of questions in the Q&A, very good. But I think Denish, maybe in future we should just have a session just for Q&A, or we should allow more time, because clearly you have people who are very curious. They really want to know where you stand on a number of matters. But I think Komu, Denish has said, shared his transformation agenda quite well. Okay. You're also asking if your manifesto can be shared after this presentation. Komu, please keep a close eye on Denish's social media handles. I believe he's been consistent in sharing that. All right, yeah, this is a very personal one coming from CPA Evanson Muiruri Kabaka, and he asks, Denish, I hope and pray you're successful. He's curious about what your plan would be for any members laid off due to the COVID impact. I think this
Thank
is
you. Thank you, Claude, and thank you, CPA Miruri, for that question. Our members have stood with this profession and institute for a long time. They have supported the institute over the years. If they have a small life-changing downtime, it's only fair that their institute stands with them. If you elect me chairman, this year, because it's a significant pandemic year like we've not seen before, those members who've paid their annual subscription but cannot afford to pay for CPD events will have free CPD events that will make sure they meet their CPD requirements. And they'll be entitled to attend CPD events. And I did indicate, and that's why it's important that we change the structure of the institute so that the shocks that affect it are different from those that affect its members. So that when the institute is suffering, its members can be there for them. When the members are suffering, the institute can be there for them. But yes, if you have paid that bit, all those members who are struggling this time will get a holiday because we will know that you've always supported the institute, and it's just because of those beyond your means, reasons beyond your means that you can't, and we will stand with you. Thank you.
Thank you for that answer, Denish. One which touches on the upcoming elections. We have a member with the initials AO who asks, the election is limited to fully paid up members. However, the chair seat is for the entire profession and not only paid up members. So is there a plan to include members who are not in good standing in the elections?
Our elections are done by members not necessarily in good standing. In fact, we relax the rules of good standing. We relax the rules of good standing so that anyone who has paid up just subscriptions, even if they don't meet CPD requirements, are allowed to participate in elections. But because we are a member body, it's important, in my view, that we define then who a member is and then who participates in those elections. We have stricter rules for candidates. Candidates must not just be in good standing fully, but indeed must have paid their membership by 1st of January. But for members, we'll close the register on 4th. So anyone who has not paid has to until Monday to make up their payments and then participate in elections. I think for the growth of our institute, for defining members of the institute, and for making sure that we choose leaders those who are passionate about accountancy support, the bit of saying you need to be a paid up member is a fair one, and it's a fair balance that we remove CPD requirements out of it.
Okay, thank you. We have Abner Daniel, who has a question on behalf of our private practice membership, and he asks, the Institute has been hard on practicing practitioners. What makes you believe you can make the burden lighter for the members in private practice, more so because your background is corporate?
Yes, I think it's fair to understand our institutes, and we salute our members in public practice, in public sector, who carry the burden of financial weight of supporting the institute because they attend our events in large numbers. We thank them and we'll continue to make the institute relevant for them. But it's important to check the statistics also and consider that our practitioners who we need to support and grow quite well, and who a lot of our efforts have gone into in terms of expanding the space for them, getting licenses, creating specific trainings for them, and what we need now is support on how do you grow the farm to become a big farm. This continent doesn't have an African farm. We don't have an African network of farms, and I dream for the day that farm will come out of Kenya, because the regulator and the member association ICPAK has supported the growth of those farms that are growing in and getting in here. So my background definitely is practicing and then private sector, no doubt about that. You realize that in practicing, we serve people in public and private sector. And if you look at our council, the council that is exiting, the council that is leaving now, has no private sector person in it at all. They only have, the largest number is public sector, then practitioners, then academia, and a bit of, and one council member from NGO sector. There's no private sector represented in council. And that's why part of my governance change is to make sure that the council represent the face of the institute. Yet there are very many members in private sector. And part of the reason they don't feel they belong is because of that lack of representation. We will fix it. We understand the pain of your members. Speaking to you, not just this campaign period, not just the period I served you, but all along in my profession, has made me step in your shoes and feel the different pains that you paid. From those seeking and practicing allowance in public sector, to the job grading, to the remuneration. And that's why our engagements at that level are important. But I also want you to understand, and I want to convince you that if we raise the profile of the institute, it makes our negotiations easier. It's easier to negotiate with a body that is much more respected, and raising the profile of the institute is my primary duty when I am your chairman.
Okay, thank you for that answer, Denish. Our next one is around matters diversity and inclusion. We have an attendee who's curious that many accountants live with disability, and last year ICPAK asked for the registration details of such members, but there was no further update on how on this process. How will your chairmanship promote creating equal opportunities for the persons with disabilities working in the finance field? And if I can add an addendum, also ladies as well.
Thank you. Members working with disability will have preferential treatment in my plan. And members, I want you to appreciate that this is not doing them a favor. This is bringing them to the level of those of us who are able. They go through a lot of challenges to get there, and saying that if there's any opportunity and if there's anyone with a disability who meets the minimum qualification, they have preferential treatment. That is a fair statement of equity. And I hope many members will support that bit. And this doesn't just apply to them. It applies to all of what we would call our marginalized people, not because of numbers, they could be many, but because of legacy and tradition. They have been left out. They have become difficult to grow in. We have a lot of young members in our body. There are actually so many that if they took over the institute, they would actually take it over and run it through democratic elections. But because of legacy reasons, I understand the challenges they face. And that's why the young people must have a space in our committees. And 20% of all our committee space must be left for those defined as young. For women, we have come a long way, and we have come a good way. I'm sure members of the institute acknowledge how much more balanced we've come. In fact, there's a time 2 years ago, the council had more women than men, which is a significant growth from the days when the council was all a group of old men in their 40s and 50s. So we are changing the face of this profession. The challenge for women is once they're in is how do they rise up? And within their areas of work, we must make sure this happens, just as we get them in boards as well. A lot of women reach the mid-level management and then stop up there to build their families. We must promote and we must ask in our accountability statement for every organization in the accounting teams how many ladies have risen up to the top, not just how many ladies you have at entry level. So yes, whatever group you are, it is about you, the member. Every member of this ICPAK, young, retired, disabled, from areas where it is difficult to become an accountant. For example, if you're born in Lamu, Tana River, your chance of becoming an accountant is significantly less than if you're born in Kiambu. There's even no CASNEP center in Tana River. So getting that sorted out and creating a center in Tana River is a priority and creates equity and fairness. Let's give equal chance to every person wishing and willing to pursue accountants.
Thank you very much, Denish, as you summarized on equity over equality. I can see in our chat, Martin Mutua is curious. He was talking to a group of young people, accountants, and their greatest concern was what they consider the high cost of attending training events for ICPAK, yet they need to get their CPE hours. And they were wondering if the cost for training could be reduced or segmented so that it could be at a lower cost for younger people, stroke associates, and a bit more costlier for more established accountants. What are your thoughts on this? And a follow-up in our Q&A, we have a member who is asking about online trainings for to earn their CPD, as it's cheaper and a number of employers don't usually sponsor these trainings.
Thank you. So Spimotua is speaking to my plan word for word, because my plan reduces cost of CPD for everyone. We must run a professional body, not a business entity. So that comes down, the cost for CPD comes down for everyone. Then more importantly, we are doing segmentation, what I insist on calling a segment of one. and charging people then based on their ability. The simple way to look at it is the same rate we pay taxes based on our different levels of income. We will then make sure that everyone feels part of ICPAK. This young accountant who is struggling with how will I meet my CPD events, will ever get a chance to go to the annual conference. We will get you that cost at a significantly lower rate than what we'll charge CP Martin if he has worked for long and can pay for it, because we have different cycles of growth in this accountancy. We start, we peak, and then we get down again. We want an institute that stands with you at all those stages and then gets you off at that stages. And that is why when you're over 70, you have a free pass to every event that the institute holds in my plan. And then the cost of the online CPD is something we'll adopt because there are those who are coming into our CPD events who are not there before because of online. It's also technology, it's also much cheaper to do. In addition to this, we will get back the spirit of volunteerism. There are many accountants, I have met many of them, who are willing to offer training and they are very experienced to the institute for free and build up their capacity. We will not get and sustain a stage where the institute competes with members for business. There are many members who offer to serve this institute for free. And by doing that, we are reducing then the cost of setting them up. And by doing that, we are lowering the cost to members. I also did speak about sponsorships of major events that lowers the cost to the member. So we would lower the cost to the members without affecting the financial state of the institute. The institute will run and pay its obligations, but we'll find other revenue streams to make sure that members can attend these events. This is a member institute. It will serve members.
Okay, this seems to be a very sensitive point, CPA Denish. I can see Elias Omondi is looking to see to what extent the minimum number of CPD hours would be reduced to. You'd actually want to know a specific number. Of course, accountants are all about the specifics. Noah Ndakala is also looking at how, and this is actually mirroring another question in our Q&A. Are there any plans to have a minimum pay for CPAK members? I think they're looking at what happens in other professional bodies, such as medicine, and teaching, where there is a minimum salary or take home in a form of giving respect to the profession and to the credentials they bring to their various customers and workplaces. Maybe you can give us that as we wrap up. I'm seeing it's getting quite late.
Thank you. So for CPA Elias Omondi, the CPD hours requirement will not reduce. What will reduce is the cost of meeting those CPD requirements. ICPAK is a member of IFAK, International Federation of Accountants, and a member of Pan-African Federation of Accountants. And to retain that high respect we have certain obligations we must honor with those bodies. That is why we are respected. That's why we are able to go to different countries like Australia, South Africa, UK, and have mutual recognition agreements that mean our members can work there. We must then commit to meeting certain quality standards, including training hours. So the 40 CPD hours will not come down. What we commit to do is to reduce the fees, the cost that it takes you to bring them down and how you can acquire them. CPA Noah, I like your bit about minimum pay. I did present for you my dream, my vision of what it looks like. Then I came down to present to you clearly what I believe we can do in 2 years plans and get that bit. So when we talk about minimum fee guidelines for practitioners, that is work in progress that with the participation of the practitioners will get some light of day and get implemented. But when you speak about minimum pay for accounting services, it's part of the vision, it's not part of the plan, because we will not achieve it in this time for various reasons. We have different employers, and we have an economic crisis about unemployment in this country. And we need to balance out between locking out our members, because I don't want to say the minimum pay for accountant is 70,000, and therefore what it means, someone would have employed someone for 50,000 does not then employ them and get that bit. But what will we work on it? Yes. How will we work on it? We'll continue to push through regulation that accounting work is legislated to be done by only accountants. Once we do that, we can then now talk about pay, because we've not done that yet. And don't forget what I told you, there are more members outside ICPAK than in, which we need to bring in. And that is our priority. Because if you don't bring them in and you set rules for ICPAK members, they will get similar qualifications outside. For me, the big focus in this opportunity is how do I let a student who wants to be an accountant believe that if he studies accountants, has passion, works hard, is willing to play by the rules and learn new skills, there's space in accountancy for them. That is the important question I want to answer. And to answer that means I must create opportunities that these 70,000 members will see a reason to come to ICPAK. I don't want to alienate the members further. So there's a conversation to have that you and I will have as we grow this bit. So there will be work done about it. Will it complete in 2 years? If we complete the regulation bit, yes. Because we have quite a bit of legislative agenda to pursue, and we hope we'll get it there. So there'll be work to it, but I want plans that are realistic.
Thank you, Denish. Probably the final question as we now go to your closing remarks. We have a member who is curious about adding members of the accountancy as essential services just for the ease of their movements.
I am 100% agree to that. If I was in your institute, we would have gone to court to get that done. These are the bits where we stand for the members. There's no, some of these things we don't need to rationalize excuse. So you cannot tell a member, a young practitioner who is working in an area and can't move to go to Nakuru, that you know we are doing this. We get them done by any means necessary. That is why you have a leadership. When I am your chairman, that is what I will do.
Okay. Thank you very much to all our attendees for those questions. It's a shame we couldn't get to all of them, but as I mentioned earlier, we're respectful of those who are probably working late or have very early mornings, given the new restrictions and the workloads at this time of the month and year. But look forward to more sessions as Denish continues to engage with you. And also please keep a quick eye on his social media handles. They will be shared through the various channels that you have received an alert about today. And with that, I want to hand over to Denish for any last words he has as we bring our session today to a close.
Fellow accountants, I am grateful that you joined me this evening to discuss the future of our profession. As I have done in this campaign, I have spoken to you, I have listened to you, and I have engaged you at every bit of it. That is how I intend to lead this profession. The same way I'm able to get you when I'm looking for your votes, the same way as an institute, be able to get you when you're looking for your subscriptions, I will get you to engage you on matters that are important to the institute and the profession, and to update you on what I am doing as your leader. This leadership is about you. It's about our profession, and it's about our country. And we need to rise up for it. To do so, I need your help. For me, the service to the profession and the institute is all about you. It's also up to you to make that call on 17th of May when we go to the elections to choose our next leaders. I request you that you choose CPA Denish Osodo as your chairman to transform our institute, to reposition our profession for influence in this country, and therefore to change our country and stop corruption being a way of life. I trust in your abilities to make that choice, and I leave it to you to make that choice, because at the end of the day, it's all about you. Thank you. God bless you, and hear you every time you pray. Good night. God bless.
Thank you very much, Denish. And on behalf of everyone who made this possible by sharing the link to the event, thank you very much. And of course, the most important person, as CPA Denish has pointed out, you, our audience. We're here for you, to engage with you, to speak with you, and thank you for making time for this session in your busy schedules. Echoing Denish's thoughts, Asante Sana, let's all stay safe and continue to follow the relevant protocols as we continue to learn more about the future leaders of this great organization. Have a very good evening and a very good night and a great Friday tomorrow. Kwaherini.